Put out live. We are now live, Chair.
Okay, hi, hello everyone. Hello, people who were part of the meeting. Hello, people who are watching. I think the first thing we're going to do is find out whether anybody who was scheduled or intending to meet with us today online cannot make it. Have we got any apologies?
Yeah, we've got apologies from Councillor High and Councillor Hobson, and we've also got apologies from an invited member, Councillor Thompson, but Councillor Storr is attending on her behalf. We also have a number of other councillors that are invited to attend, as they're requested to ask some questions. So we've also got Councillor Theo Furness in the meeting and Councillor Denise Rooney.
Okay, good, thank you. And do we have anybody who's declared an interest or who needs to declare an interest and hasn't?
I haven't had any notifications, Chair.
Okay, we'll take that as no declarations of interest. So in that case, we just need to look at the minutes of the last meeting, which was the 14th of July. I'm assuming that everyone who cares has seen those. And if you've got a view on that, please speak up if you think there's anything needs adjusting. Is that Mika's hand in the air? Yeah, Mika, hi.
Sorry, I was just trying to unmute. Yeah, just under the youth service one, it says the Mayor and the Director of Education had submitted a report, but I thought it was Anthony that had submitted that one. It was just before we approved the notes to flag that.
Okay. That sounds reasonable. I wasn't at that meeting, so I don't know whether other people have spotted that or can agree with that. Who are the officers? Are there any officers online that can confirm Mika's identification? That slight adjustment needs to be made.
I haven't got the papers in front of me, Chair, but I can check those for you and make that amendment if required.
Okay. All right. Yes, please. Let's make that then, assuming no one disagrees with Mika. That's good. That's all the minutes. So the first thing on the agenda then is about the revenue and capital budget, the budget outturn. The gist of this is that I'm really pleased to say that despite all of the shenanigans, disappointments, frustrations and terrors of the last 7 months, the budget looks in good shape as we come in towards the end of the year. I think that's a credit to a lot of senior staff, obviously most notably Ian Wright, our head of finance, Tony Parkinson, the chief exec. So listen, things are tough. We mustn't pretend they aren't tough, but we must acknowledge that we are in decent shape. So I'm really pleased to say that. There are a few things to note. There is a lengthy report, and I don't know if Andrew Humble is on the on this call. Actually, is Andrew Humble on the call?
Yes, Chair.
Okay. I mean, I think if people have got a detailed, I'm happy to take questions, but I'll refer to Andrew for anything technical or detailed. But the gist of it is that I'm happy. I'm confident. I am aware of challenges that we have ahead financially for all of the foreseeable years. But considering what's happened, I think we're in decent shape. The authority's doing much worse. So well done everybody involved who's fought to help make this happen. There are a couple of things that need to be noted by the exec members. The 2021 revenue budget, the outturn there, which is 31,000 overspend, which obviously is £31,000 is a lot of anyone's money, but it's a minute percent of the budget, 0.08%, and that can be corrected. And the executive also should note that the proposed use of the general fund reserve, subject to full council approval, to fund that overspend. Also approve the proposed revenue budget. I still don't really know what this word means. The violence. It's one of these public sector Middlesbrough Council words of 160,000, which is over £150,000. Also, the exec is to note that the 2021 capital budget Q1 predicted outturn of 58.35 million against a budget of 63.3 is driven mainly by delays in funding and income because of COVID. Okay. Is everybody comfortable to note that? Let me know if you're an exec member and you're not comfortable noting those. Okay, that's good. That's done. Thank you. Any questions on these or comments?
Do you want to go to the executive members first, Andy, and then go to the members that?
Yes, absolutely. Apologies. Yes, that's for exec members. Absolutely.
No executive members? In that case, we have questions from Councillor Rooney and Councillor Furness.
Who's first?
Councillor Rooney.
Rooney was first. We'll go in reverse alphabetical.
Okay. Thank you, Chair. I have quite a lot of questions, and I wonder if I can take my first three together and then the next two, and then the questions on the capital budget. I think that might be easier if I group them.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, yeah, I also want to thank the teams. I think I'm getting some feedback here. Thank the teams on how difficult a task this is and how difficult it will be in the future. Para 42, noting the pressure on the authority as a result of the COVID-19. In the year 2021, an additional 7.3 million is creating pressure on the authority, and that's resulting in a projected overspend of 4.4. Given that this will need to be voted on at full council, we need assurance that everything possible has been done to mitigate that. So can you tell me what options the authority has explored other than drawing on already agreed minimum reserves? And the second part to that question is para 49 of the report shows a projected loss of 6.7 million of lost income to the council. What plans are in place to recover this loss? And if it can't be, what are the implications for the council? Thank you. And then I'll come to the next questions.
Okay, thank you. I mean, I can tell you that I do know that all options have been exhaustively explored, and I know that there's been whole days and weeks of work looking to find every single possible option and explore it. But to give you the exact detail, you don't want to listen to me because I'm, you know, as you know, I'm the mayor. My job is actually to be aware of issues and to focus on a broad range of things, not dig down into detail. So and as a bit of guidance for anybody who ever wants specific detail, the thing to do is really best to contact the officers who can answer it really clearly, because all I'm going to do now is go to one of the officers for really clear answer and reassurance to you. So sometimes it's best for you to go direct. I don't know whether Ian Wright or Andrew Humble want to, which of you would like to step in and talk about this?
I'm quite happy to step in, Chair, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure, Ian, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Rooney. I think what we've done is we've, in the first instance, maximised what we're attempting to claim back from central government under their various strategies. There's the income support scheme, there's the reimbursement of COVID-related expenditure, etc. We have, at the moment, obviously, we don't have confirmed figures for how much we'll get back, and the estimates and how we come to those estimates are included in the report. We've then reviewed other expenditure that has reduced as a result of COVID, and that leaves us with the overall pressure of 4.4 million, which is reported in this current report. What we then intend to do is to cover that from reserves in the current year, subject to approval by council, and also top up those reserves from other areas that we're hoping to bring to full council on the 2nd of September for you to consider and approve or not. So the only other option would have been to start cutting services in the current circumstances. And although we looked at those options, we didn't see anything that appeared sensible or prudent to do at the moment. Chair.
Okay, thank you, Ian. And Ian, did you answer both sections of that question there?
I was
a bit about the loss and a bit about exploring all the options.
yes, it's the same answer for both. And
Okay, great stuff. Okay, and Denise, what was the next question, please?
Right, thanks, Chair. Right, my machine keeps blocking out. My next questions relate to the office accommodation at Centre Square, which is also in the report. It says in the report that we're not likely to sign an agreement until the end of the financial year. So can you tell us, with a timeline, what stage the agreements are and how likely we are to do that? And my second part to that also relates to the Centre Square accommodation. And given that the proposal to put on hold the office move for the staff is in the report, why can't we use Centre Square 1 for our office staff? Centre Square 1 was designed for modern working. We know as a result of this COVID pandemic that we are going to have to work in a more modern way. The building has the capacity to do that. The current civic centre is expensive. It's going to cost us a lot in the short, medium and long term. All the reports went to council in 2017. I've got details of them here. And the costs have already been provided to the council. It just seems to me to make sense to move our staff into a modern building that is already available. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So to two separate points there about the same issue. The first one is, so we have been working incredibly hard. So getting people to move to Middlesbrough is here and bring jobs and bring money is tough, and we all know that. And nonetheless, we're making real headway. Where we're at is that some businesses that are already here that want to expand, and some businesses that aren't here that want to come, they are really keen to come. Getting tenants to move into offices, which is something I've done a bit of in my life, is difficult. It's time consuming. It's fraught with stresses, twists and turns, and often big disappointments. And the procedures are followed. You have the office, you market it, you show people around. Some of them express interest. That interest translates into further viewings. Eventually, if you get to talk about terms and they're really interested and they agree verbally, you create a brief 1-page or 2-page document called Heads of Terms, where you lay down in writing that you both agree to move forward on these terms, but it's not legally binding. And the next stage, the final stage, is you get lawyers to draft a lease that both sides sign that becomes legally binding. And where we're at, I mean, I can't speak from before, but since I've been elected, we've talked with 7 or 8 groups, and 3 or 4 now, or 4 in fact, have they've viewed again, they've verbally agreed terms and said they want to move in. We've signed heads of terms. We've now got contracts with lawyers, and the contracts with lawyers can take 4 weeks and they can take 8 months. All of these now have been with lawyers for more than a month. I'm really confident, not certain. I almost never use the word certain. I'm very confident that 3 or even 4 of the 4 will move into Centre Square very soon. But unfortunately, the exact timing of them signing the lease and moving in is out of our control. It's a question of when the lawyers agree and when the company's ready. And it's something that we can't push and we can't chase. To give people a bit of background to Centre Square, I've always thought it was a great location for offices. I've always thought it was a great location for residential. I've always thought that the way the council approached it was naive. I think about 22 million quid of the public's money was spent to create these offices. An idea, I don't know what it was, 4 years ago or something like that. And they've stood empty. It was heralded, 3 years ago that Barclays were going to move in and there was going to be demand for lots more buildings. And the truth is much harder than that. It's much harder than that. It's really difficult. But I'm pleased to say that I think 3 or 4 of the 4 people that are in legal exchanges with us now will be moving in, but I can't say when because it's in their control. Now, what will be completely wrong is if we spent 22 million quid of taxpayers' money, most of that on one building. We promised loads of jobs and an investment bonanza, but all we did was move council staff in there. That would be an insult to the people of Middlesbrough and not a good use of public money. The staff at Middlesbrough Council do deserve a very good building, and they are in a crummy old building. I totally agree. But I want to make that huge investment, that huge was taken years ago. I'm doing everything that I can to make it really work for the town. And we are very close to pulling that off. So I continue to want to delay staff moving in. The people of Middlesbrough deserve June. In the central of years. So that's happening. What was the second two questions, Denise?
Sorry. I think you've responded to my questions on Centre Square. I now have some questions on the capital part of the budget. That's okay. Right. Para 62 and 70 refers to projects that might be considered to be removed to release revenue funding. Which projects are being considered, and how much will this achieve?
Okay, so it's several millions, and this was something we discussed at length, trying to find ways around our predicament. It was deemed to be the best way forward, but again, the detail. I'm going to ask Ian Wright to speak again and give you a really solid, detailed, and 100% accurate overview of that.
Thank you, Chair. At the moment, Councillor, those projects are being finalised and they will be reported to full council in the 2nd of September report so that you're able to take a decision in the context. We've got most of them, but there's a couple just still being finalised at the moment. So I can't give you the definitive list at the moment.
Okay. Thank you, Ian. My next question is about paragraph 74. What does under review of the design of Boho X mean, given that this is a cost to the authority of £2.5 million? Would that be likely to result in savings against our expenditure?
Yes, so Boho X is under review. We're undoubtedly putting up a magnificent building, but COVID, the uncertainty of, well, I'm certain there will be demand for offices in Middlesbrough and across the world, but there is uncertainty of exactly what kind of offices. Will there be a change? How much demand? So with that in mind, we are reviewing the design of the building. We will deliver on the same date. Within 2 years of today, there will be a magnificent building there. But exactly what shape and what design is currently under review. A potential goal is to spend less money on the building, have something as equally striking but less money, freeing up some capital for other things. We need to keep our economy going, not just in the world, not just in the UK, but in Middlesbrough. We need to keep our economy going. So every new project that we can kick off that creates construction jobs and energy and dynamism in the heart of town is really valuable. So if we can save some money and launch another project with some of the savings, that would be a great thing. So that's going into the mix at the moment for that decision. And we'll be releasing the findings of the review within about 3 weeks.
Okay, thank you. I'm down to my last two questions. Hopefully they won't take too long. Excuse me. Right. Why are we still allocating funds for Gresham? We've got 414,000 for 2021 and 789,000 for 21-22. What do we expect to achieve with that? And yes, thank you to the officers for responding. And I would have gone to the officers, but this is a public forum and I think people need the opportunity to hear the answers in a wider context. Thanks.
Yeah, I think in response to that, I think that what people don't want, and bar a few people, aren't really interested in arguably vexatious, detailed questions that you can quite easily get the answer for. If you have opinions on them, you can broadcast them. That's a great thing. I mean, I created this live forum. I made sure that all significant council meetings, wherever legally possible, are broadcast live. It's really important that the public sees this, gets a chance to understand, gets a chance to see people ask questions. So it's a great process. But what isn't great, if you're just asking me questions that that I may not know the exact answer to, or may not give you a perfect answer to, if they relate to someone's specific role in the council, they're going to be infinitely better placed to answer it than me. I have to look at a million different things, and I cannot and do not focus on the precise detail of all of those. If I focused on the precise detail of anything, I wouldn't be able to do my job, because my job is to have an overreaching view of all things and try and direct the general direction of the town. And you know that, and I know that. And I think everybody who's on this video call knows that. I think what these questions are often about is trying to stir up a little bit of trouble. They're not really about gathering info, because what you can do is you can email Ian Wright, and you can CC me if you want, and get a really clear answer, a perfect answer. He knows infinitely more about this than I do, or you. But I don't think you want the answer. Truthfully, I think what you're trying to do is try and find something that I might waffle on, or pretend I know when I don't. But I'm just quite open about many things in this council. My job is to try and reduce crime, bring jobs, make the town better. I do not get dragged down into detail, and I am completely comfortable looking anyone in the eye and saying that. So regards questions on the budget, regards allocations of money, in this case for Gresham. By the way, Gresham is so important to this town. And I'll tell you why. Is because if Gresham is bad, the town centre is bad. If the town centre is bad, we will financially go out of business. The town centre is critical, whether you live in Nunthorpe, Colby-Newham, Stainton or Linthorpe. The town centre is absolutely critical. And Gresham, being part of the town centre that's been overlooked for so many decades, we're fighting decades of decline. We're doing everything we can to try and sort it out. We're turning it around, but it's going to be very slow. So it's really essential that we fund it. But with the exact detail of this, we'll ask Ian Wright again to come in and answer your question.
Thank you, Chair. Just to be specific about that, Councillor Rooney, the 414,000 was in 2019-20, and the 789,000 was in 2021. So the 414 is already spent. The 789 has been spent in the current year, and it's being used for the acquisition and demolition of the remaining properties on the Gresham estate. Thank you, Chair.
Right, thanks for that, Ian. I've copied the dates down from the report, so I've either copied them wrong or I'll need to go back to the report and check them. But yeah, thanks for clearing that up. Right, my final question is around the East Middlesbrough Community Hub. And I just want to make the point that all of these questions relate to the report that was published. I'm just asking for further clarification and detail on the points that were made. So the last point is East Middlesbrough Community Hub, which was agreed in 2018-19. It's got funding allocated against 19, 20 and 21. I'd like to know why there's been no advancement on the build. Thank you.
Okay, so I do know that this is something we're desperate to do. I do know that myself and others continue to talk with local residents, and I do know that we're hopeful that some of the money we expect to get in over the coming months from central government could well be allocated to that. But again, I'm going to go to the financial experts, Ian or Andrew, to give you a really good answer on
that. Thank you, Chair. My understanding is that we're still in the process of consultation on exactly what the community in that local area wants. And when that's finalised, we'll bring the plans forward. I don't know if Richard Horniman has any other information.
Yeah, if people are happy for me to come, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, yep. Please.
At the moment, the work that we're doing with the community, their aspirations outstrip that budget. So we've put some allocations in some of the funding bids that have just gone in to try and boost that budget. As soon as we know whether they're successful, we'll either be able to deliver their aspirations. If they're not successful, we'll have to go back and design engineer some of those aspirations down. But as soon as we have that, we should be able to move.
Okay, thanks for that, Richard. It's good to hear that the community are involved in all of that as well. Right, that was the last of my questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair, just to advise that I think Councillor Story wanted to ask a question. I'm not too sure if he still does.
Was it submitted beforehand? Okay, fine. We'll take it. We'll take it.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. I just wanted to pick up on what was said earlier about questions of a vexatious nature. I just wondered if the Mayor had any examples from this meeting that he felt were vexatious questions. And I'd also like to point out that you are elected and we are all elected, which means we have a responsibility to answer questions in an open and transparent way in front of the general public. And it's fine to get detail from officers, but Councillor Rooney's quite right when she says that it's your responsibility to answer questions in the forum. And when we do ask questions, it is often about getting information. Sometimes it's very important for the general public to see exactly how we go about our business and make sure that they're well aware that people are asking questions and challenging and criticising where necessary. And we shouldn't run away from that, because if we didn't want to be asked questions, we shouldn't run for office. And I think we should welcome questions when they're brought forward, because it can help the council run its business better and we can help make decisions better. And I just wondered what, if any, of the questions that have been asked thus far you feel were vexatious in any way.
Okay, thank you. What I won't do is go into examples here, but what I will say is that it is, of course, it's important that the public ask questions and get answers. And it's a mission of mine to do that. So before I was elected, I would actually go around parts of town, hold meetings in pubs, community centres. And I think what people really responded well to was the genuine nature where I would stand up, I would take a question and I would say, you know what, I don't know the answer, or I think I know the answer, or I definitely know the answer. And I learned a long time ago not to waffle, not to BS, to be honest about what I know and be honest about what I don't know. And I will continue to do that. I'm on a mission that the public can ask questions. I'm on a mission that politicians, if they want to, can ask questions. And I'm on a mission to identify when I think people are trying to waste the public's time, officers' time, and effectively public money. And of course, politicians should be challenged. Of course they should. And that's a great thing. But I do know that I was elected on the back of years of secrecy, of hiding facts, of meetings behind closed doors, of half answers, of hiding from difficult situations. And I'm on a mission to override that. And what I will do is try to answer every question. But if I think that people are asking questions to be difficult, if I think it's not genuine, if I think their motive is to undermine, to cause trouble, or boost their own political career, then I will do all I can to not answer that, because it doesn't deserve the respect of an answer. And that's my answer now. Thank you.
Still wanted to ask a question.
I said earlier on, no follow-up questions, but if somebody new has a question, that's great.
Councillor Furness hasn't asked one yet, Chair.
Great.
My question about agenda item 6. I realised in the email that I sent that I put agenda item 5, but it was about agenda item 6.
Do you want to leave your question till we get to that item then?
Yeah, because it will be a step, yeah.
Okay, Chair, do you want to go to a vote if there's no more questions on the recommendations?
Okay, great. Do the exec members want to, if you don't, it was a question of noting, there was no actual approval, was there? I think it was all noting, is that right?
Noting and approval. Thanks.
I think it was all noting.
There's two.
There was an approval. Sorry, there was an approval for the. So does the council note the predicted return, note the use of the General Fund Reserve and approve the proposed revenue budget environment and note the 2021 capital budget Q1 predicted outturn. If any exec members don't approve and note, please let me know now. Okay, great, that's done. Lovely. What's next on the agenda, please, Scott?
Sylvia will be able to advise you of that one, Chair. Do you have the papers in front of you, Sylvia? What's next on the agenda?
The next on the agenda is the executive member for regeneration, cycling in Middlesbrough investment and future infrastructure.
Okay, great. Thank you, Sylvia. Over to Ashley Waters.
Morning, all.
Hi.
Yep, really quick one on this one. It's just basically what we're looking to do is improve the cycling infrastructure in Middlesbrough and the future infrastructure opportunities that will come forward. There's been a lot of work done by Middlesbrough Council and the TVCA to actually look at where we can improve the areas of cycling where it's needed. It's obviously something that is wanted across Middlesbrough and it's vitally needed in a lot of different areas. There's been some fantastic work done across the town centre, but we do need to improve that further and link the whole of this infrastructure together. So what we're looking for today is basically the executives to approve the decision to move forward with this infrastructure strategy. And if anyone's got any questions, I'll be happy to take them.
Chair,
Councillor. Let's have a look. Sorry, I can see.
Yeah.
Apologies, I can see Dorothy Davison, exec member's got a question. Would you like to go first, Dorothy?
This is just a very quick question. We have many markings on the road actually going in and some of them are not in terribly good condition. Could we make sure that all those markings are up to date within this project, Ashley, please?
Definitely, it's something that we obviously need to do, make sure that these areas are safe for all people that are on the road. So it's absolutely something that I'm sure that we'll look at going forward with this.
Okay, great. Any other exec members would like to ask a question? Okay, I know Ron had his hand up, but I think Theo was first. He issued a question some days ago. Theo, would you like to ask?
Yeah, it's obviously I read the report. It's great what's in there, but it mentions the idea of like traffic calming measures, no access and traffic reducing the speed limit. But actually, in the implementation, it doesn't say anything about implementing those kind of schemes. I was just wondering, are there any thoughts about actually implementing that side of the project?
Yeah, absolutely. The issues that prevent a lot of people from cycling, it has to be addressed and we have to encourage it. So I think personally, if we can make these roads safer, if we can show that we're prioritising the cycles and we want to get people on the roads, on bikes safely, to be able to do so, absolutely, it's something that we must look forward to doing.
Yeah. And obviously through that, I was just saying Park Walk, my ward, has a lot of long, straight, old roads that I constantly get residents complaining about speeding. And obviously, I think we're looking at the Mini Holland schemes, the way they do the traffic calming. It'd be a perfect area to pilot the type of scheme. Obviously, I would look forward to working with myself and other councillors in the area. And picking roads if you go ahead with that type of scheme.
Absolutely. And I think if Richard, if we could set something up just to look at what we'll be doing with traffic calming measures, if we can note that going forward and set something up so we can look at that in them areas as well.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Phil.
Great, thank you. I know Ron Arundel had a question here.
Right, thank you. Few questions actually, or comments. Regarding cycle lanes, it's certainly no good just to put more and more cycle lanes in if when you reach the end of the journey there's no provision. It's called the last mile in the cycling fraternity. If we don't have provision for the people to store cycles safely, and we don't have provision for people who want to come to work, and we don't have provision for them to be able to change or whatever, they simply won't use it. It's as simple as that. The second thing is regarding removing, I think you're talking about removing parking bays on Linthorpe Road. Well, we looked at this in scrutiny some years ago when there was talk of trying to put a bus lane down there. And it was decided what would happen there was if we did that, we would close all the businesses down there. So I want you to, before you think about taking those parking bays out, you want to bear that into mind. And actually, like I say, I would not like to see a repeat of what happened on Ladgate Lane there, where some years ago the council took out a perfectly serviceable cycle lane to renew it with another one. And I think that was more about access to money and spending the money rather than getting a result. We finished up with a cycle lane which didn't make sense at all. It was over 3 metres wide at one point and narrowed down to 1 metre in another section. So to me, it was just a complete and utter waste of money. And I just don't want us to do that again, because there's money available to be had. We just spend it. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Ron. Just with regards to a couple of things that you've said there, with regards to Linthorpe Road, this is something I've looked quite heavily at with regards to the parking up Linthorpe Road. And I'm sorry to say, and the businesses won't like this, that is abused by a lot of the businesses. It is used by a lot of the businesses to park their own vehicles out the front of that. You go down there, you see the same vehicles parked down there from 9 till 5 o'clock. 6 o'clock, and I do totally agree that it would be a waste of money to do that, but I think that this is an absolute essential corridor into the town.
Chair, just to advise that I think Councillor Rooney has also indicated that she wishes to ask a question.
Okay, so Ron's finished. I think Denise may be next, and then Theo.
Okay, thanks, Chair. These aren't my questions. They were submitted by Councillor Branson. Unfortunately, he's not able to be here. He's celebrating his birthday, which I think is probably preferable. The questions he's put forward, I'll ask them separately if you want, Ashley. The first one is, will the council allow the use of privately owned e-scooters on cycleways in the same way as unpowered cycles, so creating an extra mode of travel into town?
I believe that the cycle routes would be suitable for the e-scooters. As to whether that is exactly what they're going to be used for, maybe that's Richard could come in on that and help me with that one.
Yeah, we'll do. We're looking at the moment, we've got the e-scooters trial in the town, and on advice from the DFT, we're looking at how that goes, what the safety issues are, before we extend access to the wider network for e-scooters, because the cycle network is part of the highway. So it's quite a complicated issue. We're just seeing how the trial goes, and then we'll look at that next.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you. The second of Councillor Branson's questions is, would the council look at regrading the pathway which runs along the Bluebell Beck so it can be officially used by cyclists? I mean, at the moment it is a path for walkers, thereby providing a traffic-free route into the west of the town, terminating at Mandale Road and linking into the cycle route which runs into town. I think, thanks.
Okay. I don't think that's a bad idea, and I don't know whether you can come in on that, Richard, whether that's something we'll be able to do going forward.
It is something that's been proposed in the past, actually, because it does make sense in some ways, but it got a huge amount of local opposition. It would be likely to be called in for a public inquiry, so it's something we're happy to look at again, but it's not going to be an easy one, that one.
Sorry, can I suggest that is brought forward again, because I'd certainly be happy to campaign for it. Some of it cuts into my ward.
Yeah, well,
okay.
We'll look at pulling that forward. I'll get Richard to leave that. I'll have a look at that one.
Okay. Any more questions? Was that Theo there with us? Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
Is that me? Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to follow up on the parking bays. I was just wondering, obviously, is it going to the village? You think reducing the parking bays? And I agree with your point that obviously when I go around my ward, I see the same cars in the same areas along sort of the village shops. There's obviously a few spaces that do get taken up by actually people using it, but there's a lot who are just business owners or people probably just park the cars, but it's a bit more convenient for them to park it there. It's the same with the road shops as well.
Yeah, I think where we looked at those leading up to Linthorpe Village, I think it's the businesses before the Linthorpe Village itself that we've looked at right now. Again, the town centre spread over a massive footprint. and it does drag all the way up into off-road. If that means that some of these businesses want to come into town and work with us and looking at doing what we're doing in town, and we can help and relocate some of them down there to make it more feasible. There's loads of parking in town. There's not one of us that's gone past the parking bays on the A66. The notice is saying that we've got over 1,000 bays free every day. To have to walk an extra 100 yards, I don't think it's unreasonable to remove them bays.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we're done. Someone asked the exec to note the implemented infrastructure and approve the additional proposals to improve the network. If any exec member disagrees with that, please let me know now. Okay, that's done. That's noted and approved. I think the next agenda item is also for Ashley. Let me just double check on a different screen here. This is the disposal of the additional land to Northern School of Arts. Ashley, fire away.
Yep, another really easy one with this one. This is part of a pre-approved decision that we've made to gift the land to the Northern School of Arts. There is a small piece of land that they're going to need, particularly with regards to the end of the building. Now, what this does mean is it's a little bit less land that the council would have to look after and maintain, and it just means it keeps their building within their own footprint. So it's basically just to pass this through so we can get it through and get going on this site.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments from exec members? Okay, nothing. Anything from anybody else in the meeting room? That's Ron again with his hand up. Go ahead, Ron.
Can you forgive me if I go back one regarding the cycling and comments from Councillor Dennis Rooney regarding the path along Bluebell Bay? I work with a group who've worked on that for many years, and I think she should be included in any consultation regarding that path, because I know some of them would not be very happy about cycle lane if it means putting lights along there and the rest of it. So I think we need to be consulted with, bearing in mind we've put so much work into that area.
Okay, thank you, Ron. A note for everybody, please. If you have something that you want to say about an issue, once we've moved on, please don't bring it up. Please email in. Obviously, Ron's voice now, and I didn't want to interrupt him. But in future, if people could avoid that, that's great. Any questions relating to? Sorry, where were we? It was any other questions from non-exec members who are in this meeting room? Theo's the only one I can see.
Is this the land that runs along like Denmark car park along the Sainsbury's, like onto?
It is, yeah.
Keys? Is that the land?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was. On the pictures, that's what it looked like, but I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Okay, great. So that looks like it. So do all the exec members approve this disposal of this additional tiny piece of land for Northern School of Arts? If you don't, please let me know now. Okay, nothing coming forward. Thank you. That's done. I think that was the last agenda item, Sylvia. Is that right?
But I don't know if you have anything, Chair.
There's nothing to add in from me. Thank you, everyone, for your time. And I know some people have joined from abroad and all sorts. So well done, everyone. Thanks very much. All the best. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Bye.